Hey Sandy.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good.
Hey Sandy, hey Ben.
Hey
Hey,
Michelle.
Might be just us.
might be.
Is Justice traveling?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And I don't think Matt's coming.
Okay. Well, we'll see if anyone has anything to discuss. If not, this might be a short one.
I've prepared some feedback on the release 3.0.0.
Oh, great.
Hello, everyone.
Hey Renew. Hey Sam. Hey John. Hey Johan.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you.
Good day, everybody.
Are we gonna get going or are we waiting a couple minutes or what's
Let's just
happening?
wait. Let's just wait till three after. Folks tend
Okay,
to come into this one a little slow.
no problem.
Perhaps we can get started so long on the antitrust policy. So
Yep.
Linux Foundation meetings involve participation by industry competitors, and it's the intention that all activities are conducted in accordance with applicable antitrust and competition laws. And so it's important that we adhere to agendas and be aware of and not participate in any activities prohibited under applicable laws. The policy is attached to the slide. And if there are any questions, please consult your company counsel. Ben, we happy to continue. You think we got
Yep.
everyone we're going to get for the day?
Yeah, I think you're good to go.
Yeah, I think today will be a short meeting. I'll be presenting on the most recent Tazama release, which we've kind of been getting over the line, and I think it's fine. I think there are one or two minor things outstanding, but it's pretty much there in the main branch. So Tazama 3.0 has three or four major components that were each quite big pieces of work. Well, I suppose two or three of them were. So the first one is multi-tenancy. So this work was delivered by PASIS, and it effectively enables the Tazama software now to be deployed on a single instance where multiple organizations or tenants can actually use the software running with the same instance. The second major thing in this release is the database migration from ArangoDB to Postgres. So that work was completed by Cybrin. So I think we were saying today, Foley, that I think there's one minor thing outstanding, and then we can finally say we're done and dusted. I think it's the demo UI, that's the final thing that's outstanding. Then the third, quite small but important development was around the independent variable. So to date, in the rule results in Tazama, the rule result has returned a band of results as opposed to a specific unique number indicating the result. And what makes this important is for machine learning and for training models, we would need that specific independent variable rather than a bucket of values in the rule result to be able to do some machine learning. So that change is also in this release. And then the last major component is an overhaul of the full stack Docker and corresponding Postman tests. I would like to do a demo. So full stack Tazama Docker is our repository where you can deploy the software from. And the enhancement that's been made is that there's now a menu-driven option that's more comprehensive than it was in the past. Also, perhaps to highlight that the corresponding documentation for full stack is now comprehensively updated with this warning about the fact that this full stack Docker repository is for demonstration and exploration purposes only and not for production instances. There are links to the production installation guides, but the link now for demonstration and testing purposes has this test-driven menu, which I'm going to demonstrate. So from this very simple menu, you can deploy either public GitHub or Docker Hub versions, and essentially the difference there being that in a public GitHub deployment, you can point to a feature branch instead of dev or main, which means anyone who downloads our software and starts playing around with it can deploy a version that includes their software changes that they can test. We then have Docker Hub deployment options 2 and 3. So public is just the sample rules 901 and 2 versus the full service. I'm going to demonstrate a Docker Hub deployment, and what the menu options do is enable configuration of add-ons. So you can either turn on authentication, logs, NATS utilities, whichever components you're wanting to test. You can simply turn on and off by toggling them on and off. For this demo, I'm going to just apply the current default settings, which then automatically generates the Docker Compose command required for those configuration add-ons, and then to execute simply E, because I already have Tazama up and running, the Docker Compose statements are first taking down the containers and then going to deploy a completely fresh instance of Tazama. This takes literally a few minutes. It might be a little bit quicker on my machine today because the images, this is not the first time I'm doing it today, so the images are already on my local machine. Just give it a minute. So this is deploying public Rule 901 You can see rule 901, or 901 and 902 deployed here. Maybe while that's running, let me just show you the documentation, which very clearly shows all the description of all the utilities and what each option does. So Justice has done a superb job of documenting that. While we're waiting for that to run. So what you can see here now is that instead of Arango being deployed, we've got Tazama Postgres container being deployed for the database. So that's something that was deployed in this release 3.0 of Tazama. I promise it was quicker when I did it earlier. Maybe it just feels like it's taking forever. So that is as simple as it is to deploy a version of the system, and then perhaps to show you some of the other options in the menu. So I spoke briefly about the multi-tenant deployment. So that deploys the system with 2 different tenants and 2 different users for testing purposes. Then Docker utilities. So instead of actually going into Docker, you can see which images, if I select option 4, which images have actually been used to deploy the system. You can stop containers, etc. So a whole bunch of really useful features. If I return back to the menu, there's database utilities as well. So you can list all the Postgres databases and very easily see exactly what's running where. Yeah, and then lastly, this is quite a nice feature, a menu option to automatically launch all the consoles. So for example, PG admin is the console to be able to access. Worked earlier. Great. I think that's my machine. Let's see where the Swagger works. So this is menu option, allows anyone who's playing around with the system to very easily see all of the API documentation. So now instead of having to remember on which port and how to get there, it all launches from this very useful menu option. So all of those Docker Compose commands are now being customized and are automatically generated from this menu option. So that's the major overhaul to full stack Tazama Docker repository. Perhaps also just to show the corresponding Postman repo is now extensively documented for how to create your own tests. So all of the utilities that exist and how you would go about creating transactions and creating test data, it's all extensively documented. And then in addition to that, there's also detailed checklists for regression testing. So corresponding to whichever option you select on the menus, the exact test collection that you would be using with that specific deployment. So if someone is in Postman, then it indicates exactly which of these specific tasks you would deploy to correspond to the menu options that you deployed from full stack. And that was all I wanted to show. Are there any questions? Polly, is that a question or you?
No, I'm clapping my hands. It looks great. It should be simple for anyone to deploy the platform on their local.
Yes,
And
it's
what you
simple,
didn't
simple.
mention is also that all of those images now is on the public Git Docker Hub,
Yes,
which I guess is something that's been in the past, but yeah, that's also
it was already in 2.2.
Well, on top of that, I found out last week that you can take Docker images and just port them up to Amazon or Google. And so I've been talking to those guys about doing that for POCs. So we may actually move some of this up to the cloud as well.
Right. All right, any questions on release 3.0.0? Suppose the only other question that could be on your mind is when is the next release? The Camisa development that's currently in progress, we envisaging a release probably around January to make all of that functionality generally available in main branch. That's all from me.
Thanks, Sandy. Anything else from anyone? Sounds like no. Okay, I think we can adjourn. Thank you all for joining the Tazama TSC meeting of November 13th. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
thanks everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you.